Sunny Hill, my name's Lou Bird and welcome back to this week's Take Fives. Today we are in Exodus 19 and 20 and we're continuing to look at the story of the Israelites leaving and fleeing Egypt towards the promised land and all of the hurdles that they meet along the way. And by this point in Exodus 19, they've now been kind of in that process, in that journey for about 3 months. And so some of those early day problems like they had with the food that we read about yesterday, those things are maybe more ingrained in the people now. They're kind of a little bit more settled in those rhythms, in that trusting God process for each day's provision, although they would have had the same food for 40 years. So it's pretty brutal. But we move into the second phase of the kind of Exodus story. So from chapters 19 to 40, the focus shifts from their kind of escape from captivity. Oh, that's a hard word to say. Captivity. And more into kind of God establishing this covenant relationship with his people. And, this passage that we're looking at today is a bit more of a focus of how God reconciles his holy nature with the broken people, the fallen people, the sin-filled people that he desperately loves. So how can that be reconciled? And one of the first things that God does in today's passages, is that he establishes some rules. He establishes some ground rules, which, if you're a parent, then you'll realize is kind of like day one of parenting. When your kids get old enough to make a decision, they don't always make the right one. So as parents, you put in some rules pretty quick. I know that there's different forms of parenting floating around at the moment, but generally speaking, it comes with setting expectations of what it looks like to be part of this family. The Bird family, we've got 3 young boys. They're not that young anymore, actually. I keep saying they're young boys, but they're not. My eldest is 13, my youngest is 8. And, our family is distinctive. And as parents, Dom and I want to make sure that we're creating an identity for our family. So we have like a family motto, and our family motto helps define who we are as the Birds. So our family motto is: we are kind, we are fun, we are one, we love God, his church and his family. We love God, his church and each other, which is his family. We are a great family and together all things are possible. And that's really the message that we want to send to our children. That's the message that we want to build our lives on, that we are a family who build our lives on knowing God and being part of his church and loving one another. And so in order to do that, we could just have that as our motto. But when we break that down, what does that look like in the Bird family? Well, it looks like we do these things, but we don't do these things. And so we have rules, we have a structure to uphold that kind of identity that we have as the Bird family. And this is kind of what God is doing here. He's establishing an identity for his chosen people. He's got a standard. He's got something that they want to aim for. And to help us understand what that looks like, he sets out some rules. We do these things and we don't do these things. And the commandments are split into two important divisions. So commandments 1 to 4 is how we have a right relationship with God. And then commandments 5 to 10 is how we have a right relationship with one another. And that's really what it means to be one of God's people. It's having a right relationship with God and having a right relationship with the people. And so God impresses his identity on his people by setting out these rules. They looked distinctive because of how they lived compared to other people. They did certain things that other people didn't do, and they didn't do things that other people did. And that was kind of a separation from every other group of people that existed, that the Israelites did these things. And that was because they were God's people. And I guess my challenge today, you and I, we are not under the law. Praise God. We have the new covenant of grace. But there's still the challenge. How obvious is it that we are God's chosen people, that we are God's precious people, that we are God's holy people? What distinctives are there about my life and about yours that make us look different to other people? Could someone know that you follow Jesus simply just by looking at your life? The things that you did do, the things that you didn't do, the things that you did say, the things that you didn't say. What is it about your life that is distinctively marked by your faith. I want to challenge you about that today. Ask God to reveal it. Ask God if he wants to readjust some of those things. Ask God that, does my life actually reflect what your word has called me to live like? How your word has called me to live like? So spend some time praying about that, and we'll see each other again tomorrow for some more Exodus.